Prime Minister Modi has held a telephone conversation with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah El Sisi. Both also talked about its devastating impact on the war on civilian life. Views were also exchanged regarding the increasing dangers of war. This is, of course, a threat to the security of the entire area. India and Egypt have, of course, held detailed discussions regarding Israel's military operations in the Gaza Strip. And on my screen, I have Prime Minister Modi. He has tweeted out, and I'd like to quote what he stated. He's, of course, stated that yesterday he has spoken with President El Sisi. They have exchanged views on the deteriorating security and humanitarian situation in West Asia. He's, of course, gone on to state, and I quote, that we share concerns regarding terrorism, violence and loss of civilian lives. He's also further gone on to state, and I quote, we agree on the need for early restoration of peace and stability and facilitating humanitarian assistance. Still with us on the broadcast is Mr. Srivastav. Sir, Egypt, of course, it had earlier opened the Rafah crossing in order to ensure that trucks carrying humanitarian aid reach the people who are stuck in Gaza Strip, and they are, of course, innocent civilians who are also being collateral damage of the onslaught against Hamas, who are being used as human shields by Hamas. So what do you make of this interaction?
I think these interactions are very important and very significant, and I think Egypt is one of the key players in that region. And with regard to this conflict, Egypt's role is of great importance. And you mentioned about Rafah border. After the opening of this Rafah border, I think civilians in Gaza, they started getting some aid. Though I believe that this much of much of trucks and their kind of material which is being sent is not enough, and there could be this number could be more, and efforts should be made to allow more trucks to go into Gaza through this Rafah border. And but certainly Egypt is a main player and is going to be playing a very significant role in upcoming times with regard to this conflict. And certainly, this kind of a dialogue with the world leaders like our Prime Minister Narendra Modi had with Al Sisi. So I think these interactions are very significant, and that is what is the need of the hour too. Because Pia, it is also important at the same time when Israel is fighting this war against terrorism, which I believe that this must be fought and won. But at the same time, it is essential to ensure that this conflict does not get escalated into a regional conflict. And for that to do, the dialogue between the world leaders, dialogue between regional leaders. Obviously, India has enormous influence in the Middle East region too, and our voice is taken very seriously. And certainly our Prime Minister Narendra Modi is fulfilling his responsibility by speaking to several of the leaders with Jordan, with Egypt. Our external Prime Minister C.S. Jaishankar has had word with his counterpart in Oman. And obviously, Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel himself had called, and I think our Prime Minister is very much in touch with the top leadership of the Israel. So I think this kind of interaction with the world leader with responsible voices like India will make sure that this kind of situation in Gaza does not get escalated into a regional conflict, which precisely these terrorist organizations want. The various state and non-state actors, they want it to make it worse so that it becomes a kind of a regional conflict-like situation, and so that Israel gets isolated completely, so that this entire normalization process which was going on between Israel and Arab world could collapse completely. So I think all such situations must be kept in mind. The real intention of the terrorists were to disrupt this normalization process between Arab and Israel. And that is what is the point which has to be understood by every leader of the world, whether it's the regional leaders or the world leaders, and the efforts should be made to ensure that this kind of a dialogue should go on. The polarization must not happen, because this war is not between Israel and Palestine. This war is not between Arab world and Israel. This war is not between Jews and Muslims. This is the war which Israel is fighting is against terrorism, against Hamas-like a terrorist organization. And the Hamas and the backers like some state and non-state actors, they're obviously attempting to polarize the world on this issue. And that must be, understood properly. And that is why I believe that this kind of a dialogue between the world leaders, like our Prime Minister had with the Egyptian leadership or the other leaderships, I think will help in stabilizing this situation. And this dialogue process must go on. And if this, effort of regional integration, normalization, dialogue could continue even after this kind of attack, even after this kind of operations, I think that will be the biggest defeat of these terrorists.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.